How to get unstuck by not following the rules. Today, I am very, very excited because we're going to talk about how you can actually quantum leap. So you don't go step by step. You do not have to really follow any rules. And we're going to talk about what we mean by the rules, but you get to do it in a very specific way. Jeff, welcome to today's Be the CEO of Your Life live show.
Well, thank you for having me, Yvonne. I'm glad to be here and excited to talk about this exciting information.
I'm very pleased. We have been chatting off and on LinkedIn a lot, and I just can't wait for you to share, how to get unstuck by not following the rules. So can you tell a bit what you mean by that?
Well, what we mean by not following the rules, it's not that you don't follow any rules, it's you can create your own rules. Quantum leap, the term comes from quantum physics. And quantum physics requires a whole new scheme of thinking about science, about human consciousness, about a lot of things. And what quantum leaping is all about is preparing yourself for a huge advancement in results that doesn't require those logical steps. In fact, it doesn't require sometimes any steps at all. We make the steps. We put a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of conditions upon things sometimes that we don't need to.
Yeah, I hear you. And you also said that this was something you had to pay it forward because it happened in your life.
Yeah, 2 years ago, actually 2.5, June 15th of 2019, I had a hemorrhagic stroke. So I had it wasn't a major stroke, but it wasn't a minor stroke. They said it was kind of the Goldilocks of strokes. And I lost my whole right side. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move my right arm. I couldn't walk. Couldn't communicate with those that I loved with. And I had to take this information seriously. I had to use this information and, go inside. When I looked outside, my world was utter confusion. And the people that I loved were standing around and they were concerned, and I could see the looks on their face, and I could only communicate by writing, very small things with my left hand to my wife. And I thought, well, this is no good. We gotta put this back together. So, I went inside and inside you start figuring some things out.
And then what happened? Did you recover or how did it go?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I began my physical recovery rather quickly. Within a couple of days, I was out of the hospital within 3 days. I was out of the rehab hospital within 3 days. So less than a week, I was home. Now, I thought I was well on my way to recovery. My wife was like, there's a bit more work than this, but she's a therapist, has some medical training, and we began to work that back. It was kind of frustrating for me because I wanted everything to happen real quickly, and a lot of my mental activity didn't happen as quickly. But when I went to see the speech therapist, she was very helpful. She told me not to panic. She said this is all very normal. She says you don't lose anything when you have a stroke. It's just like taking a file cabinet and throwing it up in the air. Things come down all over the place. So we just have to rebuild some connections and make different paths. And I said, well, I'm familiar with that. So that's what we'll do. That's what we did.
And that's what it all started for you becoming Quantum Jeff.
No, it had started before that, but I'd never really, this was a different way of using it. I had to really put my money where my mouth was. I had to become a product of the product of what I coach. I had to become my own best student. And I enlisted the help of other coaches too. I don't purport to be able to do this on my own. I think everybody should have a coach.
Yeah, I hear you. So as a way of introduction, tell us what you do.
Yes, well, I'm a quantum leap coach. I coach people, individuals. I coach groups. I coach corporations and organizations as well. And all of it is about improving people's lives, about improving the results that they're getting in their lives or not getting. And it really can apply to basically anyone. Any result that you have in your life that you don't like, you can improve it. And there's a real process to that. It's a very sequential thing of steps to do that create that. And so we make people real happy by increasing their results. And quantum leap means we don't talk about 5% increase or 10% increase. We talk about 200, 400, 500% increase is not unusual.
Right. So that sounds amazing for many of us listening, I'm sure. So is there anything you can share about what people need to do to get those amazing results besides coming to you? Because I even if you share something generic, it never beats working with you one-on-one, because that's, we all have our personal things. But can you share some generic things about how to quantum leap?
Yeah. And it's not rocket science. It's not proprietary information. I think I do it very well. I think I can maybe see the blind spots that people have, but some people don't like my personality. Some people want to work with a woman. Some people want to work with somebody younger or older. I happen to work with Bob Proctor. He's 87 years old. He's got more energy than you and I put together. But, Bob says this is not secretive information. You'll find it in the Bhagavad Gita. You'll find it in the Talmud. You'll find it in the Bible. You'll find it in Tony Robbins' seminar. You'll find it in the personal development section of Barnes & Noble. But just because you become aware of this information, just because you know it's out there, doesn't mean that that's going to change your behavior. And so generically, we say there's only two ways that you change human behavior that we're aware of currently.
Yeah.
One is emotional impact, but that's usually negative. It doesn't have to be. It can be the birth of a baby, and that's a very positive thing. But normally it's something like 9/11, or you get fired from a job, or you break up, you get divorced. That can have a very deep impact. My stroke was an emotional impact on me.
Yeah.
I've changed my life. I changed my lifestyle. I lost a bunch of weight. I do things much more calm. It had an emotional impact. But emotional impact you can't predict. You can't time emotional impact. So the only other way we discovered is through constant spaced repetition. And that sounds really boring, constant spaced repetition, but that's what it takes. We say constant spaced repetition combined with elite level coaching, because we keep an eye on you and we know what to look for. We teach a course that takes you through this, but preparing to quantum leap, you can prepare for it, but you never know when it's going to happen. You can only look backwards and see that it did happen. You're like, oh my gosh, where was I a year ago? Where was I 6 months ago?
Yeah.
And it happens like that.
Yeah. But what are you saying? You're saying that if there is no big emotional event, then it's harder to get those quicker results?
Yep. Because we're all controlled by our paradigm, and a paradigm is no more than a collection of all our thoughts and habits.
Yes.
That we've acquired over the years. And the older you are, the bigger your paradigm is, or the more of them you have. Paradigm is not necessarily singular, but we talk about it singularly.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with your paradigm, it controls about 94, 95% of your behavior. So it doesn't matter what you're consciously thinking. It matters what's going on in your subconscious.
Yeah. And
you have to reprogram yourself. And the only way to reprogram yourself is over and over and over. Read the same things, do the same things. And we set that up by you determine what don't you like about your life. And then we determine a pattern for changing that. And we determine what information do we need you to repeat over and over and over and over. And we keep track of that. And we keep honing it in and keep tuning it in. And the quantum leap part comes from the fact that we're spiritual beings. We think we're physical beings having a spiritual experience. We're not. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience for a period of time. We actually exist on three different levels. We have an intellect, and we have a physical body, and we have a spiritual essence. It's all of that combined. And what we mean by don't obey the rules is you don't necessarily have to obey the rules that make up your paradigm. Your paradigm controls your logic. And if you question your logic even a little bit, you'll find out that it's extremely faulty.
I like that. So if you're saying you need to repeat, because you're talking about the conscious and the unconscious and the subconscious, right? It's like I always like that image, and I use it in my coaching a lot. It's like the iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg, and that's what we think is there. But 95% of a lot of our behavior comes from what we actually can't see. And like you say, it's coming from the paradigm, what we're used to, what we think we're supposed to, what we have been brought up with. So you're saying you're working on that part that you don't see to change it. and to kind of reinstate new thoughts that make you change your behavior. Am I correct?
Exactly, because the body is an instrument of the mind.
Yeah.
You change the thoughts that are in your mind, and not just your conscious thoughts. You got to get emotionally involved with them, and that's where you get down into the subconscious, and you keep passing that through and passing that through and passing that through. But the other caveat is you have to ignore the current results, or you have to ignore your external circumstances.
Right now, where you're in right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you also have to ignore the things that have happened before. And by that, I mean almost everything that's happened before. If you get a grade card, your grade card does not tell you what kind of a student you are. It tells you what kind of a student you were at a point in time, some time ago. It might even be yesterday, but that was yesterday. It's not today.
Yeah.
And so we don't confuse ourselves with, the bad path is taking your results, looking at them, and let that determine your thinking. Well, we don't do that. We have information flowing to and through us at all times. Spirit is 100% equally present everywhere everywhere at the same time. And we have the ability to take that information, that energy that's moving, form it into thoughts. We combine those thoughts together and they become ideas. We pass those ideas through to our subconscious, and that's where you get the formulating of new ideas. What you'll end up doing is starving the limiting beliefs and the limiting ideas that were holding you back from malnutrition.
I was going to ask you about that because, I totally understand. So, and that's what a lot of people, that I work with, they are stuck indeed, like you said, in the now, in the, I want more clients, I want more time, but I'm stuck here and I don't have it right now. And I can't imagine having it. Okay. So then you work with them and they can imagine it, but then a lot of times limiting beliefs pop up. So how do you deal with those?
Well, that you just start over, and it's just repeating the same information over and over and over. And you have to keep at it quite a while. I work with my clients over a period of 6 months. It doesn't mean it'll take you 6 months to get results. You can get results very, very quickly. It depends on how you adapt the information. But as you said, when you work with your clients, they can imagine things. And that's the key, is imagining. And belief. You have to have belief. Sometimes you can imagine it, but if you don't really believe that you can have it, then you won't take that extra step. I heard it explained the other day from somebody else who was examining, it's vibrational. All we're doing is interpreting vibrational information. Mm-hmm. And so we're interpreting in our physical life vibrational information, and that's how we deter, mostly through our physical senses. We're living in a physical world, so we interpret things through our physical senses. We can hear, smell, taste, touch, and so on. Well, in your dream state, you're also interpreting vibrational information. And in your imagination, you're one other level of interpreting vibrational information. Well, if we would stop thinking that there's lines of demarcation between all of those, whether you're conscious, whether you're dreaming, whether you're imagining, you're still interpreting vibrational information. And that's where it becomes really powerful.
So you're saying we should daydream more?
You should daydream. You should daydream more, and you should daydream with the right thoughts in mind and actually plan what to daydream. And you keep getting that image in your imagination clearer and clearer and clearer. People that are good puzzle doers, jigsaw puzzles, the ones that are the best at it, they stare at the box top because the box top has the completed puzzle. Right. So rather than stare at the pieces, they stare at the box top and they get that picture very, very clear. When they do that, the pieces literally start jumping out at them.
And that's basically how you compare what you're saying with the imagination and how it starts to come alive for you.
Exactly. You spend some time each day visioneering. What you do is you get yourself in a very relaxed state and you start imagining. And you start imagining it as if it's happening. Not happening at some point in the future, not happening if this happens and that happens, that happens. You get involved with it. And that's what I mean by emotional involved with it. You use all your senses. What are the tastes you're going to taste? What are the things you're going to see when this is, when your goal's completed? And you really get into the feeling portion of that. And that's what happens is people are always concerned. They say, well, I just don't have it. And then So that's what I'm thinking about. I don't have a car. I don't have the body image that I want. I don't have the self-image. I don't have my partner that I want. Well, the more you think about the absence of it, the more you're going to experience the absence of it.
Right.
You have to get in touch with what's the only thing you can get in touch with. Well, you can get in touch with the feeling. What's it going to feel like with that partner? What's it going to feel like with my better body image? What's it going to feel like if I'm making the kind of income I'm entitled to? And that can be applied into all areas of your life.
And that's what you say. You have to do that again and again and again during the day and until you're there.
Yeah, and now people can speed it up, but people are only gonna really do things up until they encounter their paradigm. With my clients, it happens about 30 days. They'll usually do what I tell them to do, and they're doing the program, and they're listening to me, and they just think I'm a good mentor, and it's about 30 days. And then they stop writing their goal down. They stop doing auto-suggestion. They stop, visioneering during the day. They start thinking about their old habits. They fall back into their old habits. They don't even know it. Well, that's where we come in, and we get, we're there to shepherd them and say, hey, look what happened. Look at what's happening in your life. You're starting to fall back into those old patterns. Well, don't do that. We're going to push extra hard.
Right. And what do you mean by auto-suggestion?
Auto-suggestion is, it comes from the book, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. The 2 chapters on faith and belief. I think it's chapters 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. I've got it right here. But auto-suggestion can be anything where you're suggesting to yourself. It can be written. We write out our goals. We write out how we want things to be. We're very big into writing. It can be the spoken word. You can read those goals out loud. Most effective way is auto-suggestion, auto-talk. I spend 5 minutes each day talking. It's not really just my goal. Now it's more my affirmations, but I talk into the mirror to myself for 5 minutes each day. I set a timer on my phone. I close one eye. I stare directly into one eye, and I talk for 2.5 minutes. Then I do it for 2.5 minutes into the other eye.
And why do you close one eye?
Because it was suggested to me by my mentor.
Okay.
I think it's because you're dealing with different hemispheres of your brain.
Right.
And when you look into your eye, you're looking into your eye, and you're actually making contact with that portion of you that is there. You're not your body. We know we're not this meat suit that we're walking around in, but we forget that. The way we live our lives, sometimes you would think this is the only thing that there is. Well, you get upset at traffic. You're upset because you dropped something on, you dropped your vase and it broke, or, your team didn't win, or whatever, and you get all worked up. Well, that really has very little to do with who you are.
Yeah.
You're an eternal spiritual being.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, hold on, because we got some remarks. Katie says, Lady Bracknell warns in the importance of being earnest that some behavior produces vibrations. Yeah.
Well, many behaviors produce vibrations. I mean, that's the law of vibration is a law of everything. We literally live in an ocean of motion. I mean, we're all vibrating. We're a mass of cells at a high speed of vibration, and so is everything else. And that's what, when we get down into it, with the study of the mind, as Bob Proctor presents it, your subconscious is what controls the body, literally the vibration you're in, and the vibration you're in controls your actions, and that produces your results. So if you want to change your results, you got to go to where it all started. Go up into the mind, start with a conscious mind. You start with a conscious thought, get involved with that, bring it down into your subconscious mind over and over and over. That will change your vibration. And when it changes your vibration, you'll see your actions change. And your actions change, your results will change.
I like that. Okay. And then let's see what the other one. Oh, okay. Nice to see you. So big. Nice to see you. Oh, good. Oh, hold on. And Katie says something else. It's a Victorian era comedy, and she was suggesting vibrations as leading the body to trouble.
Yes, absolutely. and it's the only thing that leaders throughout history have agreed upon. They've agreed upon, that. They've disagreed on almost everything else. The vibrations come from your thoughts. And however many ways they say it, in all of ancient literature, all of ancient wisdom, you find that they say we become what we think about. Well, we become what we think about because in this physical existence that we're in, for a period of time, what we think about controls the vibration that our body's in.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a couple of things that I thought of. So you talked about the auto suggestion, right? Like you said, speaking, writing, but you also spoke about affirmations. So what's the difference there?
Well, a goal is something that you state. We talk about A, B, and C type goals. A is the things you've already done, and that might be something to do again, but it really shouldn't be a goal that spurs you on to great things.
Right.
B would be if you put a plan together and you say, if I get all these steps and this all comes together, that's what you think you can do.
Yeah.
Well, C type goals originate from want, and you start from fantasy. The only requirement is desire.
Yeah.
You desire what do you want, and you don't have to think about how you're going to get it, because if you think about it, you're doing it wrong. You actually you want something to come out of you that you didn't know was there before. You wanted to pull something out of you that we have this. How did the lady say it the other day that I was just talking to? She says, we have this act of becoming. We have a constant pull in us. And when you give honor to that, that's when you can get really creative. So you set a C-type goal. Edmund Hillary didn't know how he was going to get to the top of Mount Everest. He just knew he was going to do it.
Yeah.
He had to go back in 51 and in 52 and finally went 53. And what we mean by illogical and not having to follow the steps, anybody that's ever done anything of significance has been told to stop wasting time and quit being a dreamer. And what are you doing? Edmund Hillary was told, everybody that climbed Mount Everest has died. You can't do it. They weren't meant to go that high up into well, he did. Not only he, but Tenzing Norgay, his Sherpa. He doesn't give a lot of credit, but they ascended the mountain together. They took that last step together because they wanted to. But you look back at anybody, common day athletes, common day Jeff Bezos. He's real famous now, but he wasn't famous 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started, he was going to sell books on the internet. And how are you going to sell books on the internet? Well, look at him today.
Yeah, true. So do you work with people on the A, B, and C, or only the C goals?
We work with them on the C-type goals, what we get them to focus on. Now, they'll have stair-step goals along the way. They say, well, should I concentrate on this, on this? We say, well, if you're going to drive from here to Los Angeles, I live in Ohio, that's all the way across our continent. You're going to hit St. Louis and Omaha, Nebraska, and you're going to hit places, you go through Las Vegas. Those are stair-step goals.
Yeah. So
you can have those, but you shouldn't focus on those. You should focus on the end result that you want and focus on it entirely. It doesn't mean you can't think about the things. Affirmations are just, like I say, I'm a positive person. I'm encouraging. People love to do business with me. I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. Those are the kind of things that you auto-suggest to yourself as well, because that changes your self-image. And my self-image and your self-image, if you ever want to know what you're thinking and what your paradigm is, look at your results in any area of your life. Yeah. The amount you weigh, that's because of your paradigm. The amount you earn, that's controlled by your self-image and your paradigm. The food you like, the things you like to do, whether you think people should be married or not married, that's all part of your paradigm, and it's all part of your results.
So basically, you're helping people to shift their paradigms.
Oh, absolutely. And the paradigm is your self-image. You're never going to outperform your self-image. The best book on self-image is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Okay.
He just did it back in the 1960s. He was a psychologist who noticed that people had, just because he did plastic surgery on them, it didn't change their behavior. Some of them it did, some of them it didn't.
Yeah, I've heard of that book indeed. Yeah, and then he changed everything else, and then they all of a sudden became very happy. Right? That's what it. So he gave them whatever they thought they wanted fixed in their bodies, and then they didn't feel happy even though they had what they wanted. It was because their self-image.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. So Jeff, before we, if people want to reach out to you, best is to contact you on LinkedIn, right?
Yep, and they can just go to jefflinkedin.com. You got it on the bottom of the screen there, and that's a good way to get a hold of me.
Okay, excellent. And, for everybody who's watching, if you have any queries for Jeff, just reach out. because that's what he's here for. Now, we're approaching the end of our show together already. So tell me, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you still want to share with people, or something that's burning on your mind?
Yeah, I think it's just encouraging people. We are God's highest form of creation. We've been given the ability with God to co-create, and you have so much power, possibility, and promise locked up within you, you don't even know. And anything that you want, we have a saying: if you can show me what you want, we'll show you how to get it. And so I would just encourage people, whether you're working with me, whether you're working with Yvonne, whether you're working with the umpteen other coaches out there, get a coach. Serena Williams doesn't have a coach, a tennis coach, because she's bad at tennis or because she forgot. She is very good at tennis, but her coach knows some things about how to play the game, and he keeps an eye on her blind spots. So Serena Williams goes out and purchases the best coach that money can buy. And so does everybody else that's in, top paid executives get very high price paid coaches because they're teaching them to do different things. Yeah. So whether you get a life coach, or whether you get a quantum leap coach, or whether find somebody that resonates with you, and don't be limited by anybody who tells you what you can't do. You can do anything you want, and there's a process to go through it.
Yeah, I totally with you. I so many clients come to me, and one of the reasons why they have so much on their plates is because, well, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. And then half of it they don't even like. It's just because someone out there on the internet said, well, if you want to reach this result, you need to do this, or you need to do that. And it's coming back again and again. And when you strip down all of the stuff that you have to do, and you focus on what you really want to do, there's a huge difference straight away.
Huge.
Hold on. And there's Harvey says shifting the focus. Well, I would like to pick your brain a bit more on this, Jeff, because I think this is a very nice one to close with. Can you tell us a bit about how you see that shifting the focus?
Well, it's definitely shifting your focus, but it's also about taking your focus off of all other things. So it comes down to will. It comes down to your will, and really honing in that focus to focus only on your C-type goal, in spite of all outside distractions. You hear it written about in different books. I don't have the quote right in front of me, but if you can hold one idea on the screen of your mind to the exclusion of all others, that idea has to appear on the physical plane. It's by law. It happens by law. And that's why with quantum physics, we tell people, this whole universe is run by law. Just get familiar with the laws and learn how to harmonize with them. And you will be able to live a life that people say is charmed. They'll think you're living an alternative existence. Well, you're not. You're just participating with the laws.
Yeah. And Katie stated it's the law of attraction.
Yep. And the law of attraction really was brought about by the movie The Secret. That kind of brought it to the forefront in 2006. But it kind of made it too simple. And the law of attraction is really a secondary law. The law of attraction is secondary to the primary law, the law of vibration. So learn about vibration, learn about frequencies, and you learn to participate with those frequencies and the things that are going on all around us that you can't see. You learn to harmonize with that, and you can warp things. It's very much like The Matrix. The Matrix was a movie, but I wonder if they just wanted to get us to start to see the truth and see inside the way things really were. And so they put that movie out the way they did. The world is a lot more like The Matrix than most people will ever believe.
Yeah, or are willing to believe as well, isn't it? Yeah. And I just one thing, because I hear this often. I think the law of attraction is indeed a very well-known universal law, indeed by The Secret, and you hear a lot about it. But there are so many more universal laws that people kind of skip over, isn't it? But if you really get yourself to know them, it's like almost magic that opens to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this is an amazing closing to say that there's more magic for everybody out there. And I love that you encourage people not to follow the rules, because I think that's really what resonates with a lot of us. Thank you, Jeff, so much for your time here. And for everybody who's watching or watching the replay, let us know if you have any queries, because we would love to hear from you. Okay? Bye.
Thank you very much.